winter, it is very unfavorable for the dispersion of pollutants.
Dr. Ramesh, does it actually come down to this one factor then? Would you say this is where the biggest difference lies? When we compare a Delhi, for instance, to a Bengaluru, does the difference actually lie in humidity levels alone? And that affects particulate suspension the most. Delhi has dry winter air. Bengaluru, for instance, has a moderate climate this time of the year.
Yes, because Bangalore and Hyderabad, any city for that matter, same density of vehicles, because of higher dispersion potential, because of higher level of boundary, so things get transported to higher levels. So you don't feel on ground. See, apart from transport emissions, Delhi has a lot of industrial related emissions, power sector related emissions, construction and demolition related emissions. There are, and waste, solid waste and sewage related secondary emissions which are coming in Delhi of unimaginable magnitude, which are not there in any parts of the country, because we have mountains of solid waste in several corners of Delhi.
Right. Dr. Ramesh, tell us now a little bit about wind patterns. So one is where Delhi is located geographically. That of course turns out to be a disadvantage this time of the year. What about wind patterns in southern India and how do they differ from North India during winters, and how does that one phenomena impact pollution dispersion?
See, south of India, particularly South Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and coastal Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, in winter, after the monsoon season of end of September, something called a northeast monsoon, winter monsoon sets in. So it is strong wind conditions and rainfall intermittently comes here. So that way moisture levels are there, and rainfall generating phenomena continue to exist even after monsoon. Contrast to that, in North India, once monsoon withdraws, everything is dry, and dry winter, low moisture, and then particularly most of the times it is wind towards NCR coming from Punjab side, that is from a northwesterly direction. So because of that reason, whatever power plants are there in Haryana and northwestern part of Delhi, means Haryana and Punjab, all power factor, coal-based power plants. So their things all also transferred, apart from the temporary 2-3 weeks factor of stubble burning related emissions. So everything comes towards Delhi from Haryana and Punjab. Even sometimes it could be from Pakistan, adjoining Pakistan also. But this time, currently, what is happening is wind is changing from northwesterly to Delhi to north and northeast also.
Sure. Dr. Ramesh, so much has been spoken of all of these contributors, and what we decided to do is a quick AQI check. So let's quickly go to our monitor here and understand what the situation pan-Delhi NCR is looking like this morning. So this is real-time data. And we've gone to the official website wherein you can check the air pollution levels in the national capital. Then we'll go across to what possible solutions are in the offering and what's being done, what's the impact really been like, does Delhi stand to gain from interventions like cloud seeding? I'll come back to you, Dr. Ramesh. Let's take a quick check here, and you do see how so many pockets of Delhi NCR are currently in red. If I were to just go across to some of these areas, Ghaziabad of course is 446, this is Delhi NCR, but this is where I see AQI at 606. 606 is Wazirpur in the national capital in the hazardous category. Look at this, 585, this is of course towards the exterior, so this is on the outside of Delhi NCR, but parts of the national capital, remember in 500 AQI, 503 Ashok Vihar, 500, this is in the northern part of Delhi. This is a little central, again 500 AQI, Chandni Chowk, right in the heart of the national capital, AQI in the hazardous category. So 500, 510 is something that you can see. Punjabi Bagh, again, northwest Delhi, The AQI at 510. There are areas where you see the AQI pegged at 339, for instance, which is again central Delhi, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, but not very far away, 20 odd kilometers away. The AQI stands at 500, 510, which is what is very, very worrying. I do want to go across to Dr. Ramesh on that note once again. There are interventions like cloud seeding that have taken place. It has been attempted. These are path-breaking concepts that IIT Kanpur, for instance, with collaboration, assistance from Delhi government, so on and so forth, have come out with. But Dr. Ramesh, how much relief can these interventions provide? Because the first experiment carried out in the national capital did not quite succeed, and a lot of questions are being asked. So much money has been pumped in, but why can't Delhi spin too much hope on artificial rain at the moment?
No, winter in Delhi is not suitable for cloud seeding at all. Why? Because, and one precise reason, this technology which is proposed for cloud seeding cannot create clouds. If pre-existing clouds are there, this intervention by seeding can increase the size of the clouds and water holding capacity of the clouds. But by itself, if clouds are not there, clear weather conditions are there, this technology cannot create clouds. When it cannot create clouds, you cannot expect rain from that kind of attempt.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh. Appreciate you joining us and really breaking down that all-important story. Factors that need to be spoken of as much as we're talking about other contributors like vehicular emission, for instance, construction activity, so on and so forth. But beyond visibility and AQI charts, this is a health emergency. Toxic air slips past your lungs straight into our bloodstream, and it causes inflammation, heart strain, asthma, even affects unborn babies. There's also new age tech for personal defense, wearable air purifiers, tiny gadgets claiming to clean the air around us as we move, but do they really work, especially in the outdoors? That's the big question. What can individuals do to protect themselves from this health emergency? Let's quickly go across to Dr. Vivek Nangia, Head of Pulmonology, Max Healthcare, who will guide us on how we can protect ourselves and to begin with protect our lungs. Thank you so much, Dr. Vivek, for being with us here on the Breakfast Club. This is the most important conversation that is had in every household amongst family members. What can we do? And before talking about themselves, parents are more concerned about their children because they are as exposed to this dirty, filthy air. Dr. Vivek, guide us through this. What are those quick 5 steps that we must all keep on top of our heads to ensure that we're minimizing the impact of this polluted air?
See, basically, I feel we've reached an era where we need to decide our outdoor activity based on the AQI levels. Whenever the AQI is above 400, nobody should be moving out or at least minimizing their movement outdoors. There is no question of anybody being involved in any kind of strenuous physical activity like marathons, walks, exercises, sports. This is not the time to be doing this outside. Of course, there's this highly vulnerable group. This vulnerable group would basically include people who are more than 65 years in age, children less than 5 years, pregnant ladies, those who have an underlying lung condition like asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, interstitial lung disease, underlying heart disease, kidney disease, brain disease, those who are on immunotherapies, chemotherapies, steroids. They should all be avoiding moving outdoor if the AQI level is 300. No strenuous physical activity when the AQI is above 300 for them. So these are the 2 parameters that we need to look at. Apart from that, even if you have to, and there is no other choice, then the only thing that can protect you to some extent is an N95 or an N99 mask, which will filter out particulate matter less than 2.5 microns to the extent of 95% to 99%. There are newer masks also that are available, which can filter out particle size up till 0.3 microns. But how successful they are, we don't know. But then again, we need to remember that they would only filter out the particulate matter and not the toxic gases that are still existing in the environment for us.
Dr. Vivek,
if you already have an underlying lung disease or any other disease like diabetes, hypertension, it is very important to keep it under check, under full control, so that the body doesn't have to focus on controlling that. So if you have an asthma, you should be on regular maintenance therapy with the help of your inhalers, and also carry extra inhaler with you in case there's an SOS requirement. You should be taking that immediately. Then, of course, at this time of the year, the flu also becomes very common. So it's a good idea to take a flu vaccine and, be safe from at least the viral infections.
So to ensure that you're not then giving into a condition like pneumonia, do
Absolutely.
ensure that at least the vulnerable groups are getting their vaccines. Dr. Vivek, what about air purifiers? That is also something which has now become a necessity. In fact, there are schools wherein parents are now fighting for installing air purifiers with the school administration. How important or necessary do you think air purifiers in your indoor spaces are at the moment?
So, the common logic would say that air purifiers should work. Air purifiers, basically what they do, their basic purpose is to take away the toxic gases as well as at least the particulate matter and some of the toxic gases. Of course, nothing can be 100%, but they are able to clear. But unfortunately, for whether it is because it is our country, we are the third world country where we don't have any definite research to say that the AQI level went down, that benefited patients with asthma, COPD, or at least their exacerbations went down. And that is probably because you're only using it for 8 to 10 hours and it can't be beyond that. The rest of the time you're probably outside on the streets, getting exposed to the poor air quality, and even a little bit of exposure maybe worsening the situation again. But yes, my suggestion is that at least people who are vulnerable, the vulnerable category, if they were to breathe in good air for even 8 to 10 hours, they won't do themselves harm. If at all, there would be some benefit. There are only some studies which have shown that the inflammation levels go down in this group of patients, but not in everybody. So while air purifiers do sound a logical solution, but we still don't have studies to confidently say that yes, it will change the situation completely.
Because a lot is being spoken of HEPA purifiers, for instance. True HEPA label is something that you must watch out for when you're purchasing a air purifier, so on and so forth. So I thought I'll quickly dip in and ask you that question. Also, Dr. Vivek, there is a lot of emphasis being laid on by a lot of nutritionists and doctors alike. Now, they say your diet, what you eat, what you're feeding your body can help you cope with the impact of air pollution, what it's doing to different parts of your body, but it's not going to entirely be able to subdue it, or it's not going to be able to suppress it in its entirety. What are your thoughts there? How much of a role does nutrition play in a phase like this where all of us are combating air pollution, something that's invisible to the naked eye?
See, basically it is difficult to say because again, there are no long-term studies to link benefit of nutrition with the impact of air pollution. But having said that, I would say that people should keep themselves well hydrated, keep taking lots of fluids during the day, have antioxidant rich diet. So that would basically mean lots of fruits, vegetables, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, tulsi. They're all very good antioxidants. So one could try those. More important than that is to quit smoking completely. People still continue to smoke cigarettes, which of course is worsening the situation for them, and do some yoga exercises, deep breathing, pranayam. They would also build your lung capacity. But again, they have to be done indoors. But again, when you're doing an exercise indoors as well, in the gyms as well, you have to ensure that the AQI levels there at least are well controlled. Because there are studies which have shown that the indoor air quality could be even worse than the outdoor air quality in certain areas by almost 8 to 10 times. So that is something that you have to be sure that at least the indoor air is well maintained.
Dr. Vivek, there's another term that we've heard of, come across of, which is lung shock, which not many of us were aware of, let's say, before we were acquainted with this kind of polluted toxic air on an annual basis. What is lung shock and what are the kind of challenges that come with it? How much of it is to do with the pollution levels in our surroundings?
So basically, I haven't heard of this term, but what I understand is lung shock would be something which is directly threatening the lungs, because of the damage that it can do to the lungs immediately in no time. And this happens basically when you're exposed to very high levels of toxic air around you, especially the toxic gases, which would definitely cause, it's more like if you were in an area where there's a lot of smoke or smog and you get completely choked. That is what would result in a lung shock kind of a situation.
Dr. Vivek, what about children? I touched upon this a little while earlier. A lot of parents are concerned on how they can protect their children. A lot of children are hesitant in wearing masks, for instance. They're not quite happy with that idea. You can't keep them indoors entirely. Some of them, at least beyond class 5, are also attending schools physically. How can children be protected?
So it's very difficult. I fully agree with the parents that it's really a crisis kind of a situation for them, because there was a study conducted a couple of years back which has actually shown that the lung functions of the students from Delhi was poorer as compared to those lung functions of children who were studying somewhere in South India. In places where there was lots of greens and on the hilltops. So there the lung functions were definitely better. So there is no doubt in that their lung functions are getting affected. We also see in our daily practice there are more children who are coming to us with asthma-like features, persistent cough which is not settling, and ultimately they end up taking antibiotics, steroids, nebulizers to control it. So there is no doubt that their lungs are getting impacted, and the measures would practically be the same. Remain indoors, do not involve in any kind of strenuous physical activities outdoors. Exercises should be indoors. Take their vaccines. If they're prone to cold cough, then be on regular treatment for it so that it doesn't worsen.
Okay, and very quickly, Dr. Vivek, before we wrap up this conversation, what are your thoughts on wearable purifiers? So, first we heard of air purifiers, then we moved on to N95s, 99, thanks to COVID as well. That was something that everyone was introduced to. And now this new technology of wearable purifiers is being looked at, as being seen online. Everyone is selling this product. What are your thoughts there? A lot of medical experts have come out to say that the impact is minimal. It can only protect you, for instance, in indoor spaces.
Yeah, can it actually protect you? I would say, people say impact is minimal. My question is, does it even protect you? Is there a study which has said that when you wear these wearable devices, your risk of developing asthma or COPD goes down? It can't. When I'm talking about 8 hours or 10 hours of use of air purifiers inside a complete room, a completely sealed room, where the toxic gases and the particulate matter both have been taken care of, and yet we have not seen any impact, then how can these wearable devices protect you? Let's not forget that all the studies that were conducted with these wearable devices. Having said that, first of all, I'd like to first say that yes, we would like to have something like this which can actually take care of the air around us. But unfortunately, we haven't reached that stage yet.
So you're saying not enough research is currently there?
Now the research that we have has been done under controlled environment in the lab settings and not in the outdoor situations. It has only been done to show that the wearable device was able to reduce the AQI level around it by 45 to 50%. And that too only the particulate matter and some bit of toxic gases, not beyond that. And this was done in a completely sealed environment from all sides. There was also another study which had shown that with some bit of airflow, they were still able to manage low AQI levels. But tell me, if you're wearing something here at the level of the neck, do you breathe only the air around from the neck and nowhere else? Especially when you're on the move, you're running, you're exercising.
You're exposed to AQI at 500 plus.
500. And apart from that, your head is moving sometimes right, sometimes left. So your breathing zone is not restricted to somewhere around the neck only where the device is hanging. It's all around you. So there is no possibility. Plus, again, I'm saying that even if you're able to reduce it by 30-40%, as they claim, does that actually extrapolate into any kind of clinical health benefits? That is what needs to be seen first. Rather than just going out in the market and selling it like this, we need to have certain kind of regulatory authorities which need to authorize whether this is a valid product or not.
So don't let it be just another trend. This is not the time to
That's
give
another gimmick, I would say, not even trend. I would say it's just a gimmick.
Okay.
Keeping something around your neck. It's like people you see wearing normal masks, the surgical masks, which give you no benefit. I have had patients who land up with us, doc, I'm constantly coughing. And actually they were sitting in my OPD constantly coughing with the mask on. I said, have you ever tried removing the mask and see how your cough is? And actually when they removed the mask, the cough settled. These surgical masks also have some kind of chemicals in them, which irritates the upper airway further and makes you cough. So, you need to be very wary of all these things rather than just following it blindly.
Okay, hence we decided to have this all-important conversation on the Breakfast Club. Thank you so much, Dr. Vivek, for joining us. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for explaining that so beautifully to all our viewers. We head into a very short break. Coming up next, right up, we will be talking about India finally coming up with a brand new data privacy law. We'll decode what this means for your data. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as far as the Delhi 1011 probe is concerned, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Javed Ahmed Siddiqui of Al Falah founder, who has been now arrested in money laundering case. The arrest was made under Section 19 of Prevention of Money Laundering PMLA Act following an investigation based on evidence gathered during the raids. Remember, NIA is conducting several raids in the university as far as the Delhi's 1011 probe is concerned. Anshul continues to be on the broadcast. Anshul, this arrest is coming after the searches that were conducted at the Al Falah University. What evidences did officials reportedly uncover during these raids?
Well, yes, this was a massive raid that was carried out by the Enforcement Directorate this morning itself, and the manner in which the reason because of which the Enforcement Directorate carried out these raids, that was very, very peculiar, and that was very, very interesting. The Enforcement Directorate, in the initial investigation that they had carried out, they found that the manner in which the funding was being given to Al Falah University, it was given through 9 companies. And eventually in the investigation, it was found out that all these 9 companies were actually shell companies. Apart from that, there are certain laws that have been set up by the government of India to eventually go ahead and provide benefits to the employees. And for that as well, the HR record that should have been with the Al Falah University, those records were absolutely missing. The ECIC and the EPIC, all those formats were actually missing from the records of Al Falah University, and that is the reason why finally the Enforcement Directorate has gone ahead and arrested the founder of Al Falah University so that he could further be investigated. At this point in time, he has just been produced in front of the court, and it's likely that the ED is seeking further custody into this entire matter. And in the next few minutes, we could get the exact details as to how much of custody has been granted to the Enforcement Directorate. But yes, Enforcement Directorate has gone ahead and revealed the entire fact that not only the students who were studying inside
And our big story, as the probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger and more sinister terror conspiracy following 2 major arrests in the past 48 hours. Now, investigations reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, also known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator accused of providing technical support, including drone modifications and attempts to build rocket-based bombs in Delhi. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Javed Ahmed Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case. Now, this arrest follows evidence gathered during recent searches at locations connected to the terror module. Listen in.
जनरली सुसाइड बॉम्बिंग वही करता है जो हाईली रेडिकलाइज्ड होता है, और आप देखिए किस तरह से इंडोक्ट्रिनेटेड है. ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूट्स को बंद कर देना चाहिए, इनके लाइसेंस कैंसिल होने चाहिए. ये किस तरह की ये यूनिवर्सिटी कम है, और मुझे लगता है एक रेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूट ज़्यादा है. ये एक मदरसा टर्न्ड यूनिवर्सिटी लगती है, जहाँ इतने डॉक्टर हैं जो रेडिकलाइज्ड हैं.
मोदी जी की सरकार में आतंकवाद और आतंकियों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं है। उनको जड़ से खत्म किया जा रहा है, चाहे आतंकवाद हो चाहे नक्सलवाद हो, सबको मोदी सरकार में तबाह किया जा रहा है। इसलिए कोई भी गुनाहगार जो भी इस आतंकवादी घटना में संलिप्त है, वो अगर पाताल में भी छिपा है, जैसा हमारे माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने कहा है, तो उसको पाताल से भी खोद कर लाया जाएगा।
Shifting focus, in a big win for Indian agencies, the United States has now deported Anmol Bishnoi, who is the younger brother of Lawrence Bishnoi. Now, Department of Homeland Security informed his son Zishan Siddiqui of the deportation via email. Now, Bishnoi is expected in India on November 19th, which is today. Anmol Bishnoi is wanted by India in connection with several violent crimes and faces at least 9 arrest warrants. He was arrested by American officials in November last year, although not on charges related.
Welcome back. After years of debate, drafts and delays, the digital personal data protection rules are here. And yes, it's a game changer, major one actually, because this is the country's first full-fledged data protection regime, and it changes how every app, every website and every platform handles our personal data. Now, the rollout will happen in a phased manner. At the center of all this sits the new 4-member Data Protection Board of India, who will monitor compliance, decide on breaches and call out companies that slip up. So what does this mean for big platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, basically all social media platforms? Let's break it down. If you're under 18, platforms can't just take your personal data, they need to actually take parental consent. Next, if you haven't used an app for 3 years, the data must be deleted. Thirdly, if any data breach happens, data fiduciaries must report breaches to the Data Protection Board within 72 hours and let the data principal or the user know. Last but very important, cross-border data transfers will now face tighter restrictions. It's a challenge that is being faced in India and now is being recognized through these rules. The rules also lay out everything from how data should be stored, how consent must be obtained, and how long it can be kept. Let's quickly go across to our guest and expert joining us this morning to decode what the new rules really mean for your data, your applications, and your social media life. Going across to Khushbu Jain, advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us on the broadcast. Good morning, Khushbu. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Khushbu, with anything to do with data protection, privacy, comes a lot of complications. So let's simplify this. Let's go back to the drawing board and tell us what these rules mean for our personal private data.
Okay, so the first and foremost that comes is let's understand consent part.
Yeah.
Because, in the world of internet technology, just because it was never a tangible thing, we could never understand what's going, how that data is utilized, which all party are taking that data. And we were at the state where we would get calls, for something we have not signed up for. We would get messages where we don't understand. We would even get, the every third message on Instagram and Facebook would be an advertisement which we didn't want. Even if somebody has used my phone to browse something, it will remember that and it will start sending me those pop-ups. So it's absolutely fine to have that, but I should at least sign up. So what the law says now is consent is a paramount thing. You take the data as a data fiduciary, but not without the consent of the user. And not that old archaic way of consent, which, even lawyers could not make sense of, but a simple 1-pager or a 2-pager consent, which tells what data are you taking, for what purpose are you taking, which entities are you going to share the data, and in the event of anything, how do I exercise my rights? The rights which are guaranteed under the law, which says that I can withdraw my consent, I can erase, I can request for erasure, I can request for amendment, and so on and so forth. So this has to be in a very simple language that every data fiduciary has to inform a data principal, that is users like you and me. Now, this transparency will lead to an accountability tomorrow, because today there is zero accountability because of no transparency, and we are getting in the age of AI. We're already in the age of AI.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're saying that let the power be again in the hands of people whose data is there. At last, it's my data, my power.
Okay. Khushbu, once again, to simplify this, what kind of data are we essentially looking at? Because there is so much online data that is being fed into these digital applications. So what exact data are we talking about, A? And is this to do with how third parties, for instance, have access to data that you're feeding onto, let's say, Instagram or WhatsApp or Facebook, for instance? Is this actually to do with that third party intervention, or is it to also do with how these fiduciaries can end up using your data all by themselves?
Okay, the first question of yours, what data? See, unlike European countries, the law which says, that differentiates between sensitive data and personal data, and it has different guardrails or, requirements under it. Indian law says nothing. Every data which is personally identifiable to the person, that is you, me, any data for that matter, even if it's a phone number and something else along with it. So every data which is personally identifiable to me is covered under the Act. The only other part is digital part of it. So no data which is not in a digital form will be part of the Act. The Act itself, if you see the name, it's Digital Personal Data Protection Act. So it says digital data which is personally identifiable to you and me. Now, coming to your second question. The second question that says that whether Facebook, whatever you search or what you do, and it has been shared with the third party, that is covered. The data which is taken by data fiduciaries and processing it and utilizing it is also covered.
Okay.
Everything is covered, which is a personally identifiable data. Now, the moment you have a data which is not personally identifiable, like it's an aggregated data that people in Delhi have this. So that's nothing to do with Khushbu Jain. It's an aggregated non-personal data. Non-personal data, it is not covered, but anything which is personally identifiable. Now, even when my search history comes, it has an understanding that this is Khushbu Jain's search history. It's part of it. Now, let's say I go and buy a car and I get calls from the loan companies which I did not sign up for. It is also covered. So I'm not saying that it will not allow these companies to share. It says take the consent from the owner. If I come
But
to your
data
house,
that you're feeding on your systems for your own access, for instance, your photographs, that's not covered, correct?
no. So again, for what am I sharing? Like, for example, anything which I make it publicly available myself, then it's a publicly available data. Then anybody else using, it's absolutely fine because I have made that data public. But if, let's say, I am putting my personal picture on social media platform, not for the public purpose, it is a private picture. But again, here also, you have to see their privacy policy and you have to see their cookie policy and you have to exercise your rights over there. Because when it comes to this data, they will ask you and granularly you can say yes or no. Only the necessary cookie or the functional cookie which is required for them to provide you services. Like, for example, if I open a bank account, I have to give my details and a KYC. I cannot request them not to utilize it or not to have this. But let's say if I'm downloading a furniture app or I'm downloading, let's say, IKEA or anything, if I say I don't want to give an access to my phone book, I don't want to give an access to my gallery or a camera or a microphone, they cannot deny me services for providing me that app. And I can absolutely take
And how will this consent be sought? Very quickly, Khushbu.
Consent be sought, okay. In a as easy manner you take the data. So if you're taking data in a physical format and then digitizing it, a lot of times we give the form, we give the photocopy of our ID, take the consent there, digitize it. But you have to also make me understand how do I exercise my right. So it can be via your mobile apps, it can be via websites, it can be that you give me a WhatsApp, that SMS option where I get those things, you send me via email. That is all up to them. But the law says it should be as easily as you have taken the data for them and they should be aware about how do they exercise their right.
Okay, very quickly, Khushbu, one concern that digital users have is that there are a few agencies and companies that have been given the exception that you can surely access people's personal data. Now, a lot of reasons are cited, law and order concerns, national security, so on and so forth. So agencies like the Enforcement Directorate, for instance, etc., can have access to your data. Can that be a challenge going forward? Does that dilute the sensitivities attached or the relief that comes with data protection rules?
See, even if the exception is given, the exception is on the part of the rights, the obligations. But exception should not come when it comes to security of it, because at last a company A who's doing it for security, for providing services, for providing, let's say, research, or for any matter for that matter, though it is necessary, and at that time consent might play a very crucial role and they can't have a consent into it, but security at the same time plays an equal role, whether company A doing it for their business purpose or company B required to do under the act, and they're doing it and they're given exemptions. But the consent part, the right to recall, the right to erasure, I think those are the differentiations that are there when it comes to exempted categories.
Okay, and do you think the 12 to 18 month window for compliance which has been set while these rules were notified is a realistic figure?
Frankly speaking, I have two thoughts over it. One, this is something which ideally any company should have done that the day they have taken the data. The basics that if I take something of yours, I should ask what am I taking and why am I using it, or am I going to return it, or am I going to sell it to somebody else? That's a very basic that I'm going to take it, but I'm now, this is nothing to do with you. I'm going to sell it, or I'm going to do whatever I have to do. But this is an ideal which, is expected out of company. They fail to do so. Now, if you take something of mine and it can have a repercussion, have security in place. Every cyber crime today happens because, even if after so much of awareness, because digital arrest, we're still fighting despite so much of an awareness for a year or more, is because these criminals have access to your information, and more the access, more easy for them to, orchestrate a plan and make you believe them. And then you're there, either for the lure part or either for the fear part of it. That's where I think the law should have been, ideally should have not come also. Right to privacy should have been good, and companies should have done that at the day one. But because it was not done, today the law says get it done. 2023, the act came in existence, and they kept saying it. Every few days, there was some or the other statement released by the ministry. One should have started the homework at 2023. Now, if you see today, 2 years, 18 months of time that has been given to you, it can be enough as well if you're very serious about it, and it can be if you're very scared that, where do I start, how do I start? So there are very simple things to start with to understand how
this is
data
actually the start point of everything going wrong in an episode of digital arrest too, for instance. So fraudsters gaining access to your private data and being able to convince you and then digitally arrest you. This is where it all begins. So really hoping for big change here. Thank you so much, Khushbu, for simplifying the story for us this morning. Okay, all right, with that, let's shift our focus to our person of interest joining in this morning. 10 years ago, a shy 10-year-old from Bengaluru stood on the Indian Idol Junior stage. She didn't speak Hindi. She didn't grasp the magnitude of the moment, but she sang with all her heart, and India felt it. Just like that, Anjana Padmanabhan has become the first Indian Idol Junior winner. This happened in 2013. Cut to 2024 now. In her early 20s, Anjana finds herself performing at Times Square, New York City, celebrating 10 years of Diwali. And this time, she's not the kid with a dream. She's the artist living that dream. From Carnatic beginnings to international beats, Anjana's voice has grown into something bold, brave, and beautifully her own. So let's quickly go over to Anjana, who joins us this morning on The Breakfast Club. Hi, Anjana. Hope you're doing well. Anjana, let's start with, how the journey has been for you. The last few years have been phenomenal, isn't it? From winning the inaugural Indian Idol Junior at just 12 in 2013 to now performing at Times Square, New York City. Take us through the last big appearance and what was that feeling like?
Honestly, I still feel like it's not sunk in. It's been so surreal to even think about the fact that I was there, that I got to perform at Times Square. So many people, and it was not just people from India, people from different countries coming, listening to our music. It was just phenomenal. The entire experience was amazing. Singing those songs, singing songs that I grew up listening to, and then seeing everybody listen to that, vibing with me, encouraging, cheering. It was an absolutely phenomenal experience, and I can't wait to go back there, honestly. I really love the place, and it's going to be a memory that's going to stay with me forever, because I'd never imagined that I'd ever get a date to perform at Times Square. It was a place that I grew up sort of imagining that, okay, one day I'll just go visit as a tourist. But then, today, to be there, to be performing there on a stage, It was just phenomenal. Yes.
Okay, Anjana, I'm not going to ask you to give us any of your Bolly hits that you performed at Times Square, but you must give us a few lines of your latest song in Tamil, which you love.
Sure. Actually, you know what? Let me sing a song of mine that released a couple of months back in Tamil itself. So it was an indie track of mine. So I'll sing a few lines of that. பாடல் வரிகளை போல் மிதந்து சென்றான் இவன் எழுதுகோள் எழுதியே இடைவெளியின்றியே பதறாதே காகிதமே பறக்காமல் எங்கிருப்பதே உன்னுள் எதை கற்பித்தேன் இடைவேளை ஒன்றை கேட்கிறேன் இதழோடு கேட்கவா கொடுக்காமல் இருப்பதா உன்னுள் எதை கற்பித்தேன் இடைவேளை ஒன்றை கேட்கிறேன் இதழோடு கேட்கவா கொடுக்காமல் இருப்பதா முதல் வரியே. So yeah, that's a few lines of a song of mine that released like literally few months back.
Lovely. Just what we needed right on top in the morning. We're through half week already, so we really needed a little bit of that. Anjana, tell us, some of your fans must have literally grown up with you, isn't it? Started following you from Indian Idol days, now perhaps have your music on their Spotify. Do you have any special stories there, any personal interactions that you'd like to share with us?
It's amazing, honestly. You know, I get so many of these messages, especially on like requests on Instagram. And then I know a few people, like I have honestly seen them, you know, of course online, but like I've seen them sort of, you know, being a part of my journey since I was a kid. Like I still remember when I used to, like, you know, Facebook that time, because Instagram wasn't the thing when Junior happened. Yeah. So I know people that used to comment on my Facebook ID to what they're like, you know, they've also transitioned with time across social media, across pages, and then they comment now on Instagram, they send messages. It's crazy. Like, you know, they were a part of Junior, they were a part of the Idol Senior, then they're a part of all of my songs. They're a part of all of, you know, these kind of milestone performances. They're very relentlessly commenting on every post, and they share everything that I put out. It's crazy, genuinely, you know, the amount of love that I receive.
Anjana, now tell us about how music came to your life. So a lot of people, music runs in their family. Sometimes it's their dream which is given wings by their parents. What was the story here?
So it started off, of course, when I was about 7 or 8. In my house, obviously, there was a lot of music that we used to consume as a family. My dad, of course, played a lot of music from especially the eastern and the northern part. So there was a lot of Hindustani classical music. There was a lot of Bollywood music in general at home. But my mom, of course, being from Tamil Nadu, she used to play a lot of Carnatic music, a lot of stuff like that. So I was introduced to a lot of different kind of genres when I was growing up. And then they realized that, you know, I'd keep humming something, or if I listen to something, I'd hum. So they realized there's something. So let's, put her to some kind of music class as a child. So they put me into like Carnatic music classes when I was about 8. And then my mom secretly recorded a video of me singing. She sent it to a Tamil reality show when I was 8, which is called Super Singer, which I did. And then I somehow, just beautifully, I've made it till the semi-finals of that show. It's the first time I've ever got on stage, first time I've ever singing. I've not learned anything properly, nothing formally. And I've just gone on stage, and then I've, ended up singing. And I've made it till the semi-final. So it was a big deal for me. It gave me so much of confidence as an artist that, okay, music is something that I can try and do.
So that's how it began. Anjana, we've run out of time. We don't have too much time, unfortunately. But if I were to ask you, before we let you go, if we were to ask you how you define your musical journey with a song, with a line, what would it be?
It was like But finding a song, honestly, to describe my musical journey is very difficult, because I feel like every song is sort of something that relates to some part of my life. But if I have to really describe my entire musical journey in like literally a word, it would honestly be, it's a very simple word. It's dream. Because when everybody goes to sleep, they're thinking of what their life would be someday. There is some sort of hope. There's some sort of image that every individual has as to, I want to do this. And this life that I'm sort of doing right now, everything that I do every day, was sort of what I had as a child when I was 8. So every day I wake up, every day I think, this is what I'm going to do. And today I'm doing that. So just the fact that I can get up every day, do music in itself is very special to me. And there's no better way that I can explain what it truly means. It's how I think about anything in life. Any emotion is because of music. Anything is described through music. If I'm sad, there's a song. If I'm happy, there's a song. I think it's pretty much for every person. But then for me, it's also from the perspective that I'm creating that. So that's what it would be for me, if I have to really sum it up.
Anjana, you've spoken like a true artist, but thank you so much for sharing the last decade or so of your life, the wonderful moments that you've experienced with us here on The Breakfast Club. Thank you for joining us. All right, with that, it's time for us to head into a very short breather. We're not done as yet. We'll be right back after a very quick break.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And our big story, as the probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger and more sinister terror conspiracy following 2 major arrests in the past 48 hours. Now, investigations reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, also known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator accused of providing technical support, including drone modifications and attempts to build rocket-based bombs in Delhi. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Javed Ahmed Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al-Falah University, in a money laundering case. Now, this arrest follows evidence gathered during recent searches at locations connected to the terror module. Listen in.
जनरली सुसाइड बॉम्बिंग वही करता है जो हाईली रेडिकलाइज्ड होता है और आप देखिए किस तरह से इंडोक्ट्रिनेटेड है. ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूट्स को बंद कर देना चाहिए, इनके लाइसेंस कैंसिल होने चाहिए. ये किस तरह की ये यूनिवर्सिटी कम है और मुझे लगता है एक रेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूट ज़्यादा है. ये एक मदरसा टर्न्ड यूनिवर्सिटी लगती है जहां इतने डॉक्टर हैं जो रेडिकलाइज्ड हैं.
मोदी जी की सरकार में आतंकवाद और आतंकियों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं है. उनको जड़ से खत्म किया जा रहा है, चाहे आतंकवाद हो चाहे नक्सलवाद हो. सबको मोदी सरकार में तबाह किया जा रहा है. इसलिए कोई भी गुनाहगार जो भी इस आतंकवादी घटना में संलिप्त है, वो अगर पाताल में भी छिपा है, जैसा हमारे माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने कहा है, तो उसको पाताल से भी खोद कर लाया जाएगा.
Shifting focus, in a big win for Indian agencies, United States has now deported Anmol Bishnoi, who is the younger brother of Lawrence Bishnoi. Now, Department of Homeland Security informed his son Zishan Siddiqui of the deportation via email. Now, Bishnoi is expected in India on November 19th, which is today. Anmol Bishnoi is wanted by India in connection with several violent crimes and faces at least 9 arrest warrants. He was arrested by American officials in November last year, although not on charges related to criminal activities in India. Days later, India began the extradition process. This was after a Maharashtra court issued a non-bailable warrant and global law enforcement agency Interpol issued a red corner notice. Now, sources have revealed to CNN News 18 that gangster Anmol is being deported along with a group of 200 illegal immigrants residing illegally in the US. Top intelligence sources have also
और आप ऑफर अनबिलीवेबल लगे तो बिलीव ना करें.
Welcome back. We now bring to you a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing in business insights. GIFT Nifty is indicating a stable opening for Indian stock markets. US stock markets closed lower after valuation worries hit shares of big technology companies. Asian stock markets changed little this morning trade as investors weigh the fallout from the sell-off in global stocks, and gold prices hold steady on fading expectations of another interest rate cut in the US. Speaking of a sector in particular with rising demand for water treatment solutions, players in this space are well positioned. The emerging themes are digital water solutions and future energy applications. Future energy verticals include UPW, which is ultra pure water, CBG, green hydrogen, and AI-driven digital water systems. These areas are emerging as important revenue and profitability growth drivers. So don't forget to log into Money Control Pro to find out more about the water and waste water treatment sector and other actionable insights on markets. Well, that's all we could pack for you in this edition of The Breakfast Club. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow is World's Children Day and we have a very special lineup for you. Don't forget to tune in, same time, same place. Bye-bye, see you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And our big story, as the probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger and more sinister terror conspiracy following two major arrests in the past 48 hours. Now, investigations reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, also known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator accused of providing technical support. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Javed Ahmed Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case. Now, this arrest follows evidence gathered during recent searches at locations